Good evening and welcome to Fox News Primetime. You've heard about the Nazi book burnings, the bans, the censorship, the oppressions of the Third Reich. You've seen the images, black and white footage of chanting believers, flames flying high. They're images of evil, and you know how they end. But few people know these book burnings largely weren't some big government crackdown. Look closer at those dark and grainy images you've seen. Most of the participants aren't soldiers or policemen. They're smiling, laughing young people. It was a fun time for them. They were on the right side of history, they thought. They were part of something bigger than themselves. They didn't know that what they were a part of would swallow every one of them by the time it was finished. Few people remember that the book burnings of the German 1930s were led by student activists who started with their own campus libraries. They didn't want the books that challenged their delegate minds. A lot triggered our young little Nazis. When they ran out of campus libraries, they came for the independent bookstores. The government, happy to help, only came in later. Does this sound familiar? They were the vanguard, but the people in power did agree with them. If you were reading the New York Times on April 7th, 1933, and that Friday morning you would flip to page 11, you would see, condensed in a few short paragraphs, the news that the Nazi government had banned the parts of the Old Testament they didn't like. They were making moves to consolidate the Protestant churches into a new state version of Christianity, complete with its own saints. They were starting a new religion, you see. Just below that, a wire from the New York Times Berlin correspondent told of a monarchist newspaper warning that the Catholic Church would not be so easily rolled, and German Catholics would not abide the Pope being replaced with some government minister. So the Nazi government banned Catholic publications in the country. Mobs did most of the government's work for them. Sometimes they dressed up in little uniforms first. In their dress and their tactics, they might stir recollections among a few people in Portland who remember the saga of the independent bookstore Powell's Books, which this winter had the audacity to feature reporter Andy Ngo's writing on the violence besetting their city at the hands of black-clad thugs. The thugs threatened them for this, and the bookstore was afraid. No one in Portland was going to stand up for them. If you lived in Portland, would you count on the police to protect you? The politicians make sure they can't. The bookstore was protested, covered in signs, forced to shut its doors early, and threatened. So the owners folded to the mob. Andy Ngo, who has been on this program, wouldn't see his books on their shelves after all. If customers wanted it, they could go online. Just this week, Ngo was nearly beaten to death again, with zero action taken or promised by local authorities who have acquiesced to the mob running their city. We always pretend to learn from our history and assume we are somehow more enlightened than our ancestors, that they were evil, but we are fit to make our own rules, our own history, to ban ideas, to ban George Washington and Abraham Lincoln and Tom Sawyer and Huck Finn and Dr. Seuss and those Catholic teachings that inconvenience us. We're experts now. We've got this. As George MacDonald wrote, the one principle of hell is, I am my own. The first thing tyrants do when they're in charge is ban speech, but not just any speech. They ban the speech that threatens them. Often, if a group that threatens them is powerful or influential, they'll give them a chance to follow the rules, do the good thing. There's that right side of history rhetoric again. The Nazis wanted the church to stick to its own business. Don't speak out on politics. Don't meddle in things you don't understand. Stay behind your pulpit, priest. Let the eugenicist scientists, the modern men, deal with the things that matter. Leave it to the experts. And if the leaders of the country wanted to openly reject church teachings, who are you to speak up? In the book of Ecclesiastes, we read the warning. What has been will be again. What has been done will be done again. There is nothing new under the sun. Every day we see the signs of a new fanaticism in our country and the eagerness to join with the new movement. Some of the daily devotions are absurd and laughable, like MSNBC's religious adherence to wearing 2 masks while you jog as a sign of your loyalty to the woke regime. Some of the devotions are far more troubling, like the banning of books exposing the trans agenda's real harm for troubled children, or reporters staring at a human catastrophe on our border where humans are controlled and killed and raped by sprawling criminal gangs who turn around to the TV cameras to lie to you about it and tell you they're just children being victimized by the mean American policemen. The ruling class doesn't need to do everything itself. They can pick at the peripherals and nod in agreement while the mobs and the students, the corrupt corporate press, and the tech oligarchs get their hands dirty. You're not allowed to talk about the Wuhan lab leak until you are, the press and the oligarchs say. We've always been at war with East Asia. The words of G.K. Chesterton apply here. A dead thing can go with the stream, but only a living thing can go against it. And where those stubborn Americans who are alive and awake go against the current, refusing to submit to this new woke religion or its indulgences, the leftist oligarchs will use their power, both government and corporate, to crush them. So they'll teach the new race hate to our students, our soldiers, and our diplomats. They'll mock the Vatican for calling for clergy to hold sin to account for the sake of the sinner by flying the rainbow flag from their embassy. They'll tell the Hispanic and indigenous people suffering in Guatemala that their problems stem from their racism against African Americans and their anti-LGBT bias. Maybe Google and Facebook can sponsor a campaign to support it all. Do you see what's going on here? Do you understand the underlying threat? We are a free people because we understand where our rights come from. As George Washington said in his farewell address, reason and experience both forbid us to expect that national morality can prevail in exclusion of religious principle. This isn't incidental, it's essential. Without faith, we collapse as a people and as a country. The left comes for religious Americans not because they want to abolish religion, but because they want to replace it with race politics, with scientism, and with their Marxist, fascist agenda that would pile the Bibles high and turn them into ash. And yet, the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. It won't, it can't, and we as free Americans will make sure it never does. I'm Ben Domenech, and this is The American Crisis.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.